Hi everyone, I'm Georgine Oliva and I'm going to present to you my chosen country, New York. Why it is called that? New York was named after the British Duke of York, and many experts believe it's nicknamed the Empire State because George Washington called New York the seat of the empire. A little over 8 million people live in New York City. That means 1 in every 38 people in the United States call the city home. More than 800 languages are spoken in New York City, making it the most linguistically diverse city in the world. 4 in 10 households speak a language other than English. New York City's Federal Reserve Bank has the largest gold storage in the world. The vault is 80 feet below street level and contains $90 billion in gold. Okay, its natural resources. New York is known for supplying construction materials such as limestone, salt, sand, and gravel. It's also one of the top states for garnets, though they're used for industrial purposes instead of jewelry. And New York is the only state that mines wollastonite used for manufacturing ceramics and paints. Hear the roar of 70,000 gallons of water crashing down every second over Niagara Falls, which borders New York and Canada. You can even sail close enough to get soaked on a boat tour. New York City is the most populous city in the United States, with around 8.5 million residents. You can look down from the 86th floor of the Empire State Building, climb 377 steps to the Statue of Liberty's crown, and tour Ellis Island, where over 12 million immigrants entered the United States between 1892 and 1924. Famous New York residents includes U.S. Presidents Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and John F. Kennedy. New York is the only state that borders both the Atlantic Ocean and the Great Lakes. New York City is said to be the largest city in terms of GDP for 2023 according to the World Economic Forum. Its estimated GDP is $2.5 for 2023 according to the World Economic Forum. Its estimated GDP is $2.5 trillion. Its economy is powered by the finance, media, and technology industries, as well as its diverse population. New York is also one of the most visited cities in the world, and this influx of visitors helps to boost its economy. New York City's restaurants are fully open and suffer from labor shortages, but consumers are enjoying dining out with no mask or restrictions. With a full reopening, total job growth for New York City is forecasted to be 3.9% in 2021 and 8.0% in 2022 versus growth of 3.4% and 5.2% respectively in the New York suburbs. New York's large office sector will continue to struggle given the new popularity of working from home. Although most will return to the office, demands for space will remain flat for years. New York City office employment is expected to grow 3.0% in 2021 and 5.5% in 2022 and 25%, 3.25% on average in both years in the suburbs. GDP in New York remains 2.8% below the peak of fourth quarter in 2019. This ranks 45th of the largest 51 metros. GDP is expected to grow 7.6% in 2021 and 4.4% in 2022. On imports and exports, with more than 96% with more than 96% of the world's population and 75% of its purchasing power outside the United States, economic recovery, jobs, and future growth for New York and America will depend on trade and investment. That includes reaching those customers with American goods and services through exports and expanding buying power and options for American companies and families with imports. New Business Roundtable research, US government data, and other data sources demonstrate that benefits of international trade and investment to jobs and the economy in New York. And New Business Roundtable research, US government data, and other data sources demonstrate the benefits of international trade and investment jobs and the economy in New York. In 2020, the COVID-19 global pandemic has brought dual public health and economic crisis. Meeting with both challenges requires restoring trade and supporting trade-dependent jobs to help New York recover. Export growth increases jobs by generating new business for New York's manufacturers, services, providers, and farmers. Imports support jobs and keep costs low, helping New York businesses compete and saving New York families real dollars at the cash register. More than 1 in 5 New York jobs More than 1 in 5 New York jobs depends upon international trade. New York's trade-related employment grew 5 times faster than total employment from 1992 to 2018. Jobs in export-dependent industries pay about 16% more than jobs in less export-intensive jobs pay about 16% more than jobs in less export-intensive industries. U.S. exporting plants increase employment 2 to 4% faster annually. U.S. exporting plants increase employment 2 to 4% faster annually than plants that do not export. Exporting plants also are less likely to go out of business. Trade-supported jobs are not just at companies that export and import. Trade supports higher wages for workers and lower costs for companies and consumers, providing them with more money to spend on other things. This spending supports additional jobs throughout the U.S. economy in sectors like entertainment, education, and construction. Imports provide a variety of benefits for New York companies and families. Imported consumer goods help keep prices down for New York families while increasing choices for foods and other products that are not available locally. Imported inputs help New York manufacturers compete in both the United States and international markets, while export goods, example components and services like designs, often return to the United States as imports. To best meet the COVID-19 challenges, trade policies should ensure that American families and businesses retain access to both domestic and international inputs, supplies, and services they need at prices they can afford. In 2018, 46% of New York imports were consumer goods. Prices for imported consumer goods tend to drop year after year, leaving New York families more money to spend on locally provided goods and services, such as housing, education, and healthcare. Trade and investment liberalization policies saved the average New York family of four more than $10,000 per year through lower prices and increased specialization. In 2018, 36,153 New York companies imported goods from 217 countries around the world. Nationally, 77% of importers were very small businesses with less than 20 employees, while less than 3% had over 500 employees. In 2018, 5.4% of new goods imports were raw materials, components, and parts that are used by U.S. manufacturers to stay competitive. Many of New York's top imports are critical components for New York exports. Conversely, New York exports of raw materials and parts may return to the United States in imported finished goods. Businesses opportunities unique to New York. Large population. 20 million people live, visit, and work in the New York City area, representing a huge group of potential customers for your products and services. Access to merchandise. New York is a major shipping port and gateway to Europe and Asia, thus you have access to a wide selection of wholesale products for you to retail at brick and mortar stores, direct sales, or online. In fact, 94% of all exporting firms in New York were small businesses. These firms were responsible for nearly 57% of the value of exports leaving the state. Canada is New York's best export customer, receiving $12,567,000 of the state's exports in 2017. Hub location. Large cities like New York are good places to open highly specialized type businesses because the large population can support small niche business such as rare books, international gourmet foods, and foreign language bookstores. Resident needs. New Yorkers typically don't own cars, so they need items delivered. So consider selling transportation and hauling services. Also, executives. The often busy executives who demand services to make their hectic lifestyles easier, such as meal delivery, laundry services, and child care. Don't forget about the millions of people who travel to the city for work or entertainment, who buy tours, convenience food, and services. Business needs. The thousands New York businesses, large and small, purchase a wide variety of business services, food, catering, and products. How to start a business in New York City? Number one, you have to choose a business idea. Take some time to explore and research ideas for your business. At this stage, take into consideration your own interest, skills and resources, availability, and the reason why you want to form a business. You should also consider the likelihood of success based on the interests and needs of your community. Read our article. You should also read articles for more tips on how to evaluate business ideas. After you select an idea, consider drafting a business plan to evaluate your chances of making a profit. When you create a plan, you will have a better idea of the startup cost, your competition, and strategies for making money. Typically, investors and lenders will ask to review your business plan before providing financial assistance. Decide on a legal structure. The most common legal structures for small businesses are sole proprietorship, partnership, limited liability company, and corporation. There are also special versions of some of these structures, such as limited partnerships and, single corporations and small corporations. You'll want to consider which business entity structures you'll want to consider which business entity structure offers the type of liability protection you want and the best tax, financing, and financial benefits for you and for your businesses. Create your business entity. Sole proprietorship. In sole proprietorship, you have to establish a sole proprietorship in New York. You don't need to file any organizational documents with the state. If you're going to create a partnership, to create a general partnership in New York, you don't need to file any organizational documents with the state. Although not legally required, all partnerships should have a written partnership agreement. The partnership agreement can be very helpful if there is ever a dispute among the partners. To form a limited liability partnership often used by professionals, you must file a certificate of registration with the New York DOS. To create an LLC in New York, you must file articles. of organization in New York's DOS. You must also publish the articles of organization within 120 days of filing. You will also need to appoint a registered agent in New York for a service of process. In addition, while not required by law, you also should prepare an operating agreement to establish the basic rules about how your limited liability corporation will operate. The operating agreement is not filed with the state. Corporations. To create a corporation in New York, you must file a certificate of incorporation with the New York DOS. You will also need to appoint a registered agent in New York for service of process. Although not legally required, you also should prepare bylaws to establish your corporation's internal operating rules. Bylaws are not filed with the state. Small corporations must also file IRS Form 2553, election by a small business corporation, with the IRS. Pick a business location and check zoning. You'll need to pick a location for your business and check local zoning regulations. Before you commit to a location, take time to calculate the cost of running your business in the desired spot, including rent and utilities. You can refer back to your business plan to evaluate whether you can afford your desired location during your company's early months. It is important to verify the spot is zoned for your type of business. You might find zoning regulations for your town or city by reviewing your local ordinances and contacting your town's zoning or planning department. Read our article for more. You should read an article for more tips on picking an allocation. You should also read an article for more tips on picking a location. One alternative to opening your business communication is running your company out of your home. If you decide to run a home-based business, again, check your local zoning laws. In addition, review your lease if you rent your home and homeowners association rules if applicable, either of which might ban some or all home businesses. File and report taxes. New York taxes every kind of businesses. See New York State Business Income Tax for more information on state business taxes in New York. Sole proprietorships pay state taxes on business pay state taxes on business income as part of their personal state income tax returns. Partnerships Partners pay state taxes on partnership income on personal tax returns. In addition, many partnerships also must file Form IT-204 partnership return. Furthermore, some partnerships also pay an annual state filing fee. Limited liability companies. Members pay state taxes on their share of LLC income on personal tax returns. In addition, most limited liability companies also must pay an annual filing fee and file Form IT-204-LL Partnership Limited Liability Company and Limited Liability Partnership Filing Fee Payment Form. Furthermore, most LLCs also must file biennial statements. See New York LLC Annual Report and Tax Requirements for more information. For corporations, shareholders must pay state taxes on their dividends from the corporation. A shareholder employee with a salary also must pay state income tax on his or her personal state tax return. Moreover, the corporation itself is subject to New York corporation taxes and a franchise tax. Note, New York's taxation of corporations is particularly completed. Finally, most corporations must file a biennial statements with the New York DOS. If you have employees, you must also deal with state employer taxes. And apart from New York taxes, there are always federal income and employer taxes. Open a business bank account. No matter the type of business you form, you should consider a separate business account to make it easier to track your income and expenses. To make it easier to track your income and expenses. For some business types, like limited liability corporations and corporations, a separate bank account is necessary to maintain your liability protection. That's the end of my report. Thank you so much for listening.